I didn't hide it because I thought he'd cheat. I hid it because I wanted him to choose me. And before you roll your eyes, let me be painfully specific. I didn't want him to choose me in a normal, healthy way. Like I'm excited to marry you and I'll text you during the trip. I wanted him to choose me in the toxic, movie scene way. Cancel the trip, fight his friends, prove I'm the priority, reassure me until I felt powerful again. So I did what insecure people do when they don't know how to sit with discomfort. I created a crisis. I took his passport out of his travel folder, slid it into a makeup bag in my vanity, zipped it up, and told myself I was protecting our relationship. By the time he realized it was missing, I'd already rehearsed my innocent face. By the time he realized it wasn't an accident, he'd already realized something worse. If I could do this, calmly, deliberately, then I could do anything. And the way my fiancé responded is the part that still makes my stomach drop when I replay it. He didn't scramble. He didn't beg. He didn't scream. He replaced the passport, and then he replaced me. My fiancé, Adam, is not a messy man. He's not impulsive. He's not dramatic. He's the kind of person who has a folder for everything. Travel docs in one place. Receipts scanned. Calendar synced. He's the guy who checks into flights early because he hates uncertainty. That steadiness used to comfort me. Then it started making me feel small. Because steady men don't prove love with chaos. They prove it with reliability, and if you're addicted to intensity, reliability can feel like being taken for granted. Adam proposed last year on a quiet weekend trip to Sedona. Not a crowd, not a jumbotron, not an audience. Just us, sunset, a ring, and his voice shaking slightly when he asked. I said yes and I meant it. But I also didn't realize I was bringing a whole suitcase of old insecurity into a new life. My last relationship ended with cheating and lying. I'd been the cool girlfriend who trusted too much until trust turned into humiliation. I told myself I'd never be that naive again. So I watched Adam more than I admitted. Not his phone, not like that. I watched his behavior. His habits. His tone. His attention. And when he didn't match the intensity one expected, I didn't think, he's stable. I thought, he could leave and be fine. That thought planted a fear in me I didn't know how to handle. The Bachelor trip was Adam's best man's idea. Cancun, 4 nights, all-inclusive, last hurrah. The group had been planning it for months. When Adam first told me, he said it casually. Babe, Ryan's doing the Bachelor trip in Cancun. End of March. Just a guy's thing. My face stayed neutral, but my stomach tightened. Cancun? I asked. Like Mexico? Adam smiled. Yes. Like Mexico. Something about the location triggered me. International, resorts, alcohol, the implication of temptation. In my head, it wasn't just a trip. It was a threat. I tried to be cool. Oh. Fun, I said, voice carefully light. So, what's the itinerary? Adam laughed. You mean what are you worried about? I bristled. I'm not worried. He kissed my cheek. Okay. That okay should have ended it. It didn't. Because my brain kept building images without my permission. Girls in bikinis, groomsmen egging each other on, what happens in Cancun jokes. Then I saw the group chat on his phone one night while he was showering. Just a notification preview, nothing explicit. Ryan, no girlfriends, no rules, smiling face with horns. I felt my blood turn hot. I confronted Adam like I was being reasonable. Why is your friend saying no rules? I asked. Adam dried his hands on a towel, calm. Because he's joking. It's bachelor trip humor. That's not funny, I snapped. Adam's eyes narrowed slightly. It's not meant to be a legal contract. It's a joke. I hated that he wasn't alarmed. I hated that he wasn't performing concern for my comfort. So I escalated. You're okay with that? I asked. With your friends acting like you're single? Adam's voice stayed level. I'm not single. I'm engaged to you. I'm going on a trip with my friends. Both things can be true. That was the first time he said something that sounded like a boundary. And instead of respecting it, I took it as a challenge. For the next 2 weeks, I tried every angle. I tried the sweet angle. I'm just going to miss you. Adam, I'll FaceTime. We'll be fine. I tried the logical angle. Cancun is kind of risky, don't you think? Adam, risky for what? Sunburn. I tried the guilt angle. Ryan's fiancé isn't comfortable either, right? Adam, she's fine. She told him to bring sunscreen. I tried the jealousy angle. So would you be okay if I did a bachelorette trip to Miami? Adam, yes. Because I trust you. I hated that answer more than any other. Trust should have felt like love. In my mind, trust felt like indifference. So I did something I'm ashamed of. I started narrating my fear as a moral high ground. You're being disrespectful, I told him. It's not about trust. It's about boundaries. Adam looked at me for a long time and said, quietly, you mean your boundaries? Yes, I snapped. My boundaries. Adam nodded slowly. Okay. Then be honest, do you want me not to go? I paused because saying it out loud would make me the villain. I just want you to want not to go, I said. Adam stared at me like he didn't know how to answer something that irrational. I want to marry you, he said carefully. I also want to go on a trip with my friends. Those don't cancel each other out. I felt myself losing control of the narrative. So I reached for the most dangerous weapon insecure people have, sabotage. Adam's travel folder lived in a drawer in his office. It was labeled. Of course it was. The passport was in a small sleeve with his boarding pass confirmation, the resort booking, the travel insurance printout, and the Mexican entry requirements page he'd printed just in case. One afternoon, he left to pick up his suit from the tailor for the wedding. I walked into his office and opened the drawer like my hands weren't shaking. I stared at the folder for a full minute, trying to talk myself out of it. Then I did it. I pulled the passport out, walked it to my vanity, and hid it under a pile of makeup bags in the deepest drawer. I told myself I'd give it back after he proved he cared. Maybe he'd panic. Maybe he'd hug me. Maybe he'd say, babe, I won't go if it stresses you out. That was the fantasy, me causing fear, then being comforted. I didn't understand the reality. Fear doesn't make healthy men cling. It makes them calculate. 2 days before the trip, Adam did what Adam always does. He started packing early. He laid his suitcase open on the bed, placed folded outfits in neat stacks, checked his list, and asked me if I'd seen his passport sleeve. No, I said easily. Too easily. He searched the drawer. Then his backpack. Then his safe where he kept backup documents. I watched him, trying to look supportive. Maybe it fell behind the desk, I offered. Adam nodded, still calm, still methodical. Maybe. 30 minutes later, he paused, looked at me, and asked, have you moved anything in my office? My stomach flipped. No, I lied. Adam's eyes stayed on mine. Okay. He went quiet again and kept searching. No yelling, no panic. Just scanning. That calm drove me insane. I wanted him frantic. I wanted him begging. So I pushed the moment. Maybe it's a sign, I said lightly. Adam stopped moving. What? He asked. I shrugged. Like, maybe you're not supposed to go. Maybe it's the universe. Adam stared at me for a long beat. Then he said, very quietly, that's a weird thing to say. My face warmed. I'm just saying. Adam nodded once. Okay. He grabbed his phone and walked into the kitchen. I followed at a distance like a guilty person tailing their own consequences. He called the airline. Then his friend Ryan. Then. What made my throat tighten? He called a passport agency. That's when I realized he wasn't going to fight with me. He was going to solve it. That night, Adam sat across from me at the kitchen island with his laptop open. I got an urgent appointment tomorrow morning, he said calmly. Downtown. Passport agency. I blinked. Already? Adam nodded. You can get an emergency replacement with proof of travel. My stomach sank. The plan was falling apart. That seems extreme, I said, trying to sound casual. Adam looked up. Extreme is losing a passport. Replacing it is a solution. Then he added, casually lethal. Unless it wasn't lost. My throat went dry. What do you mean? I asked, voice too high. Adam's eyes didn't move. I mean, I've searched every logical place. And you made a sign from the universe comment at the exact moment I realized it was missing. I forced a laugh. You're paranoid. Adam nodded slowly. Maybe. Then he did something that made my stomach flip again. He opened his laptop, clicked a tab, and turned the screen toward me. It was our smart home camera app. We had indoor cameras in common areas for package theft and dog-sitter check-ins. We didn't have them in the bedroom. But we did have one in the hallway outside the office. Pointed at the front door area, wide angle. And that camera had captured me walking out of his office with the travel folder, and then walking away without it. My breath caught. Adam's voice stayed calm. I didn't want to believe it. But I'm not pretending. I started crying instantly, because my body recognized defeat before my ego did. I was scared, I whispered. Adam's eyes softened slightly, but his voice stayed firm. Scared of what? He asked. Me going to Mexico with my friends. I sobbed harder. Of losing you. Adam stared at me for a long time, then said something that felt like a knife wrapped in velvet. You don't lose people by trusting them. You lose them by controlling them. I couldn't speak. Adam stood up. I'm going to bed. We'll talk tomorrow. He walked away without yelling. That was worse than yelling. The next morning, Adam left early for the appointment. I sat alone in the apartment, staring at the vanity drawer like it was radioactive. I could have put the passport back before he got home and pretended it showed up. But the camera already had me. Also, this matters. I knew if I returned it quietly, I'd be admitting I did it. So I stayed frozen, waiting for the argument. Adam came home around noon holding a sealed envelope and a receipt. Not frantic. Not angry. Just prepared. He placed the envelope on the table. Temporary passport issued. Full book will be mailed. I stared. You replaced it. Adam nodded. Yes. I whispered, so you're still going. Adam's eyes held mine. Yes. My chest tightened. After what I did. Adam's voice stayed level. After what you did, I'm still going. Because I won't reward sabotage. That sentence made me shake. I tried to recover control with tears. I'm sorry, I whispered. I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Adam nodded once. I believe you're sorry. Hope rose in my chest for half a second. Then he added. I'm not sure I believe you're safe to build a life with. My stomach dropped. What? I choked. Adam took a breath. I don't want to marry someone who manipulates my freedom. Today it's a passport. Tomorrow it's my friendships. Then it's my job. Then it's our kids. I sobbed. You're overreacting. Adam shook his head slowly. No. I'm finally reacting accurately. He stood up and walked to the closet. And this is where I thought he was going to pack for the trip. He didn't. He pulled out the garment bag with his wedding suit and laid it on the bed. Then he unzipped it and stared at it for a long moment like it belonged to a life he no longer wanted. Then he said, quietly, I'm canceling the wedding. My knees went weak. No. Adam, please. Adam's voice stayed calm. I'm not doing a marriage where I have to hide my passport from my own partner. The shame burned hot in my throat. I wasn't trying to hurt you, I cried. Adam's eyes flicked to mine. You were trying to stop me. That's hurting me. Then he said the line that ended everything. You didn't lose me to Cancun. You lost me to your insecurity. He still went on the trip. Not as a punishment. As a boundary. He left the next day with his friends, and the group chat photos started popping up on Instagram. Pool, beach, dinner, stupid matching shirts, the whole cliché. I didn't even care about the women on the resort. I cared about the fact that Adam looked peaceful. Like he'd made a hard decision and felt relief. I called him. Blocked. I texted him. Green bubble. Then an email came from him. Not emotional, not cruel. Just logistics. Wedding cancelled. Vendor deposits handled by me. I'll forward invoices if needed. My things will be removed Saturday 10 to 12 with my brother present. Do not contact my family. If you need to communicate, do it via email only. That was the moment I realized he wasn't taking space. He was removing access. And that's how calm men win. 3 days later. Tonight. He came back. Not alone. With his brother. And with a woman I didn't recognize standing in the hallway near the elevator. Tall, pretty, neutral expression, holding a clipboard like she was there professionally. I felt my chest tighten. Who is that? I whispered. Adam's brother said calmly, property manager. Adam's having his name removed from the lease and transferring utilities. It wasn't romantic replacement. It was adult replacement. He replaced me with paperwork. Adam didn't even come inside. He stood in the doorway and watched his brother carry out his boxes. My voice cracked. You're really doing this? Adam nodded once. Yes. I stepped forward. Please. I made a mistake. Adam's eyes stayed steady, almost kind, but firm. You didn't make a mistake, he said quietly. You made a plan. That sentence shattered me because it was true. Then Adam looked at the vanity drawer. Like he knew. And said the most humiliating thing. You can keep it. I blinked. Keep what? Adam's voice stayed calm. The passport you hid. Keep it as a souvenir of the day you tried to control a man who would have married you. His brother closed the last box. Adam nodded at me. Civil, final. And walked away down the hall. No drama. No insults. No begging. Just a man exiting cleanly from a life that suddenly looked dangerous. The guy wins because he doesn't reward manipulation with reassurance. He replaces the passport because he's competent. Then he replaces the relationship because he's self-respecting. And me. I learned that if you have to sabotage someone to feel chosen, you don't want love. You want control. And control always costs more than you think. Because it doesn't just break a trip. It breaks trust. And trust doesn't get replaced at a passport agency. My remarks. Hey guys, thanks for watching. She hid his passport to stop a bachelor trip because she wanted a jealousy reaction and proof of control. He won by staying calm, replacing the passport through an urgent appointment, and then cancelling the wedding because sabotage is a character issue, not a travel issue. If someone tries to trap you, you don't negotiate. You exit. Subscribe. More tomorrow.